there's plenty of opportunity for Australian businesses to position themselves. Firstly, we have a lot of skills and expertise in the energy transition from the work that we've already been doing. So being willing to go up to the region and share those experiences and share the skills and capabilities that support them is an important first step. I think the next thing is recognising that the impacts of climate change are impacting the region in similar ways to what they impact Australia, and therefore how can we connect with each other and go on the journey together, share resources, share research, and therefore share innovative solutions to some of these problems that we're tackling. Yeah, well, we've got a lot of experience in sustainable development which we can share up in the region, particularly around the ESG commitments that many countries have made and many organisations continue to work on. So I think there's opportunities around there. I think we also have strong governance expertise because of the maturity of our market and the journey that we've been on from a business perspective. And I think a lot of the countries in the region, particularly the more developing ones, are seeking best practice when it comes to sustainable development and how they might create governance processes and procedures to support it. I think there's also huge opportunities when it comes to technology. When you think about things like agri-tech, taking those skills up into the region, we've also seen success there in collaborating with certain countries across the region in those sort of technology areas. Yeah, look, I think it's absolutely critical, and it's something that we don't often talk about. We talk a lot about things like the energy transition and decarbonising economy, but as we go on that journey, it's really important to accept that there's many impacts that come from climate change that we can't necessarily reverse. We know that we're seeing increased extreme weather events, and the region is, well, the whole of Asia Pacific actually, is probably unfairly cops a fair bit of the impact of that versus many other parts of the world. So massive opportunities together to look at how do we ensure that our existing infrastructure and our new infrastructure is built in a way that it is more and more resilient to those existing impacts of climate change. Because every time that you see floods or fires or things that can disrupt infrastructure or bring cities to a halt, that has a massive impact on the economy. And if you're always having to spend money adapting or fixing or recovering from those events, then that can have long-term toll on your ability to keep up with the future growth of your economy. So I think it's incredibly important and often not given the attention that it deserves. I think there's massive opportunities to work together on that challenge. We know that there's a massive boom in data centres across the entire region. We're seeing investors look for opportunities to build this infrastructure in all of the countries. And I think and you're right, it is about the energy and the water demand that go with it. So how do we bring together experiences at a national or even at a business level of how we've seen this work? I think there's opportunities for Australia to take our expertise up into the region around the governance and how we look at planning and environmental controls around such developments. But I also think there's opportunity for Australian businesses to learn from the region. A lot of the developing countries in the regions have set up special economic zones to support these data centres so they can isolate the water supply and energy requirements and protect the wider population. I think that's also a really smart move that perhaps Australia can learn from. So definitely challenges, but the opportunities for innovative solutions, for connected conversations around the security around data and how we might collectively address some of those challenges, plenty of opportunities in that space. Yeah, I think we've seen a really quick move from potentially just being focused on the term energy transition to talking a lot more broadly about energy security now. So understanding that we're on a journey, but how do we build out connected supply chains that can enable us to ensure that the region is secure from a supply perspective? I think we're seeing a lot of different approaches up in Asia, but a massive opportunity for the connection between Australia and Southeast Asia in particular, being near neighbours. Australia is a net exporter of energy. Southeast Asia is a net importer of energy, so they're slightly more vulnerable to these challenges. But having really close relationships and working on how we can mutually benefit each other is a huge opportunity. We've seen that if you look back to last year where we signed the Comprehensive Strategic Plan with Singapore and now sort of project forward to 9 months or so, the importance of that partnership in coming together and trading really commodities to help each other through this challenging time has been a huge advancement of that relationship. And because we are near neighbours, really sit in a backyard together that is the Asia Pacific region, we need to really look at how do we address these energy security challenges, not in a nationalistic way, not just on our own, but as a region with connected supply chain and connected solutions.